Hi, and welcome back to our walkthrough of the open source version of unSkript. In our first video, we walked through the installation steps to install the Docker container on your local machine. And now let's just actually run in and just get started right away. So in this list down here on the welcome page are a bunch of pre-built runbooks. And let's just use one and get started. I've already opened it up over here. And this is a runbook that is going to use AWS to create a new IAM user in your account. Before we can get started actually doing this runbook, there's a few steps that we need to go through. First off, we need to add some credentials. So what are credentials? Credentials connect unSkript and give it unSkript permission to perform actions into your different cloud tools, right? Not anyone can go into your AWS and make changes. We need to have a credentials that allow unSkript to go and make those changes into your AWS. And so we can look here. There are a bunch of credentials built in. And we can look at them and we can edit them if we want to make changes. So in this case, we can see that I have an access key. Here's my key. And then there's the secret so that we can make changes into AWS. The other credential that I'm going to need for this runbook is a credential into Slack. And so you can see that one is also here as well. And it uses an OAuth token. And I'm not going to scroll through here because then you can see the whole OAuth token. But the idea here is, again, this OAuth token is connected to an app in Slack so that whatever action occurs in my runbook, it can then go to Slack and it'll perform the subsequent action inside of Slack. So we have our credentials ready to go. The other thing that we're going to need is the input parameters. And so when we run this runbook, there's a couple of different ways you can run a runbook. You can run it via the API. And so these would be the input parameters. These are the things that are needed to run for our runbook to go, right? And in this case, we're going to send in a username of video demo. I'm actually going to change it to video demo 1 because this is my second take and I've already created video demo. So we can edit it and we can change that default value. So I clicked the edit button and I changed that default value. And then we're going to add a key and a value. We're going to tag this new IAM user with the key service and the value dev MongoDB. And that's fine. You can do whatever you want here. You can add multiple tags if you want to. But these are built in. So now when we run this runbook, either using the UI in unSkript or if we use the API, these are the default values, or you can change those values whenever you want to run it. Now let's actually look at the runbook. The runbook has 4 different actions built in, and these are all pre-built actions that come pre-installed with unSkript, and we've just added them to this runbook so that they can run in order. And so we're going to create a new IAM user by passing in the username and tags. We're going to create a login profile, so we're going to add a password. Then we're going to check the identity of the current user, which is me or my credentials, and then we're going to send a message to Slack saying that, hey, we created this new user. So let's walk through these steps. In a Jupyter notebook, we've got these text fields. So this is a text field describing what's going on. This is a text field describing that first step. And here's the first step. And if I open it up, you can see there's Python code that is performing the action of creating a new IAM user. For those of you who are interested, it's using Boto 3 to connect into IAM, and then it's going to send into EC2, is going to send in a username with a key and a tag, key, and value. And those are the variables that are set up here in these parameters. But we need to configure this so that it'll run. So let's come over here to configurations. If we click this, this opens up over here. And I've already picked a credential. We're going to add it actually into my personal AWS account. And we're going to use the variables username. The inputs here are username, tag, key, and tag value. And we're going to use the variables, username, tag, key, and tag value that are set up here in these parameters. And so we're using variables. And so when we run this, it's going to add a user with the username video demo 1 with a tag with the key value pair of service and dev MongoDB. So I'm going to just minimize this so there's space on the screen so you can see it. I can run this action. When I run this action, it comes through with an HTTP status code of 200. That means bonus, it worked. Like I now have this IAM user in my AWS account. So now let's create a login profile for that IAM user. Again, this is an action that is pre-built. It's available to add to any runbook that you want to do inside unSkript. Let's set up the configurations. Again, we will send it into my AWS account, and then we're going to give the username, again, set from up here, video demo 1, and we're going to give it the password test@123. If we look at the code in here, one thing that happens is when we set that password is it's going to require a reset password to be done immediately. So it doesn't really matter that this is test123. You would log in and then it would immediately make you change the password. So let's apply this, right? We're going to apply this credential and this username password to our runbook. And then let's run it. And again, it says this password reset is required. Username is video demo 1. And we got an HTTP of 200, meaning that, yes, it worked again. All right, next step is the STS get caller identity. Let's just do that. We'll set our credentials to, again, my account. We'll apply those changes, and then we will run it. Again, 200, we got my user ID, which is whatever that is, right? And then finally, we're going to post a message to Slack saying, like, hey, we got it to work. So let's go to those configurations. Now we're posting a Slack message, and so we can't use our AWS credentials, but I already have a Slack credential set up. And so we need to set a channel, and I'm going to use devrel Doug test1. Let's just make sure I got that right. Devrel Doug test1, no capital D. All right, so we apply that channel. The message is going to be new IAM user and then the name. So apply that. And so now that we have the channel set and the message sent, we can hit run action. And when you click this, it says successfully sent message to on channel devrel Doug test1. And if we come over here to Slack, we can see that indeed I sent it twice, new IAM user video demo 1. So now this runbook is completed and it has all the steps it needs to do to be run at any time. So we could save these details, and now it's available to be run whenever anyone on your team needs to run it. Thanks for watching, and we're going to have more videos on how to use both the open source version of unSkript using the Docker container and our free trial in this channel. So watch this space for more videos on using unSkript, and thanks for watching.